You're listening to the Bearded Theologians podcast, hosted by Zach Bechtold and Matt Franks. If you'd like to learn more about the Bearded Theologians, you can go online at beardedtheologians.com, where we have past podcasts, blogs, and a couple items for sale. So check us out, beardedtheologians.com. Thank you for listening, and enjoy this week's show.
You're listening to the Bearded Theologians podcast, hosted by Matt Franks
and Zach Bechtold.
So this week on the podcast, it's the week before Christ the King Sunday, and both Zach and I are looking at our calendars and realizing that Advent is here, whether we want to admit it or not. And so we wanted to share with you some ideas that we've done or are thinking about doing or would like to do that are Adventy that you can do in your congregation or in your faith community throughout the season of Advent. And I'm going to let Zach kind of start us off and kind of explain to us a little bit what Advent is. So Zach, would you kick us off?
Yeah, certainly. So Advent is a lot of things in the church. It's the beginning of the Christian year for all of us that kind of follow that. But it's also this great season of waiting. And we talk about it every year on the podcast about how Advent is Advent and Christmas time is Christmas time. And Jesus isn't birthed during Advent, but at Christmas time. And Advent's all about waiting and that anticipation and that pregnant pause, if you will, right? And I know for sure this year Advent feels a little different in a lot of ways. We weren't in person for Advent last year in my church, and so this year, leaning into it, I have a little bit of a gap in what we've done over the last couple of years, especially the year before. I wasn't really present for Advent in my church that year due to some family things. And so it's been a while since I've been fully present for the season of Advent and really Christmas and the weeks that follow it. And so, as we were talking about what we would unpack today, this feeling of what is Advent, what do we do, what's meaningful, how do we prepare and welcome our folks back into the sanctuary, many of them for the first time in a year for the Advent season. And so that just really has been on my mind the last few months as I struggled to plan Advent, to figure out what we're going to do and what it means and how that looks this year. But that feeling of we missed something. We missed something last year in that waiting for COVID to be over, to have some break in the clouds of what it was. And this year, for my church, we're going to continue that pattern of waiting. Our season's called Adventually, and it focuses on the prophecies. Last year, we followed Matthew Paul Turner's book, All the Colors of Christmas, which was one of my favorite things that I've done in Advent, but it still felt we were missing the people. And that series of ideas in Advent and Christmas Eve stuff will come back around very soon in my planning. But Matt, when you think of Advent and some of the things you've done or are doing this year, what kind of sticks out for you? You're muted. Come on, buddy.
It's been a Friday, that's for sure. As I was thinking about, I pitched the idea, the thing that came to mind was Advent music. And we've talked about that before. We actually have an old podcast so you can dredge up and listen to how we feel about Advent music. And we don't have to get into that today. But I love this season and the music of this season. I know Zach's already listening to Christmas music now. I tend 100%. To hold off a little bit just so I don't burn myself out, because I will really quickly. I am my mother's son. And yes, I do buy a new Christmas album every year because that's what my mom did. And that's what I'm going to do. And yes, I know you don't buy albums anymore, but I still do because, there are always that really cool Christmas album that you have to have. And yes, I want to have it so that way, every now and then when I'm listening to whatever and it shuffles through to a Christmas song, I chuckle because it's just part of who I am. And so music.
Because you're old.
Well, yes. Music is something that's very important to me. And this season is one of those seasons where music plays an integral part in the theology of the season. And I know for me, and that's kind of one of our deals this year for our whole sermon series is looking at the joy of Christmas music. And I asked our musicians, what are your favorite Christmas songs? And we compiled a list of a lot of hymns and things. And so we narrowed that down to 4 weeks. So that way during Advent, we're going to look at a song each week. And I've got a speaker coming in, our music director who, has a doctorate in music and performance and stuff like that. He's going to come in and talk about that in our Wednesday night studies, and kind of give a brief overview of the song and play the song for people to hear that we're going to talk about that week. And I'm really excited about that and how that's going to shape up. And then, there's always those special services. I don't know about what Zach has planned this year, but we've got quite a few little things going on that are going to be special. We're doing a cantata this year. The choir's back. And so the choir cantata is coming back. And then we have those special community things that we offer. Just actually this Sunday, we have the NSU, which is the regional university in my town. They're going to be singing they're doing a Christmas concert in our sanctuary with Christmas music. And, I really love the season of utilizing the music to bring that joy back in the midst of a season that can be a little bit troublesome, which then would lead us into one of the things that's become my favorite practice throughout the last few years is the Blue Christmas service. And that's something I'm looking forward to and getting ready to start planning that this week.
Yeah, no, I love that service as well. It seems like really outside of every other holy season we have, right? In the church, Advent and the Christmas season are music heavy. We have a lot of music for those seasons. If people know church music, it's often Christmas music. It's often the songs that we sing during this time. And it's great. And like you, that Blue Christmas service is one of the services in which if I don't do any other service during Advent and Christmas, it's Blue Christmas, right? And my services, it's all music. It's all just being in that space and hearing, and just being present with the words and the music. It does something. We find that in the midst of our grief, or at least I do when I do funerals and folks are grieving, we do Blue Christmas services. Good Friday and those types of things, they're music heavy for a reason, because that music speaks. It brings us all into this collective place of what we're doing. And sometimes those are solemn moments like Blue Christmas, and other times they're joyful and cheery as we proclaim the good news in those ways. And so I think I like that idea a lot, of centering around music and what it makes us feel and how it makes us and helps us be present.
Yeah. And one of the things I'm hoping we can do this year, if we can hold on COVID numbers, we'll be doing some Christmas caroling to people. I'm hoping we can equip people to go do that. I'm going to try to create a space for people to do that on their own, or, get some people together and go caroling at people's houses just for fun. Yeah. We're going to do and I know you do this too. We're going to do the Sunday of Joy. We're actually going to ask people to wear their Christmas sweaters on that Sunday, which is also the same Sunday we're doing the cantata. So it's going to be kind of fun to have all that atmosphere. I'm being a little bit more intentional about really trying to spread joy this year, because I know that this last year, just personally has been rough, and I need this. I need that hope and anticipation and that joy and that love and that peace that Advent brings, which are usually the common themes of Advent. And, there's always the Blue Christmas. There's always, encourage your, maybe get some friends together and go caroling one night. There's the watch night service that's really powerful, and can be, and I know that's in between season. But I think that, those things that you can do, craft a space that can, that is needed, and you still have time. And unless you're listening to this like November 28th, then you're kind of up a creek. And good luck. You have Christmas season then to look forward to, which is like you get 2 Sundays of Christmas this year. So, be aware of that. And so, I think that those things that we try to do this season, I pray that you help them be life-giving to you too, and not something that's a burden. and be open to the opportunity of doing different and new things. Like this year, our church is hosting. The Arts Council came to me and said, "Hey, can we use your space during this time for Christmas music and art and things?" Like, yeah, like that's new, that's great. And so, I think that I want to say that this year, being attentive and open to the Spirit will go a long way on making a meaningful, impactful Advent. And if anything, keep it simple for you and your context. I think that will go a long way as well.
Absolutely. Well, and it's just that attention, right? And being aware that we all feel like I think we've all feel like we've missed something in this season over the last year. And even though things aren't back to normal, they feel like they're getting there, whether that's reality or not. And there's a lot of tension in that. There's a lot of burden in that. And if we bring that into the Advent season, yeah, it's still going to feel like we're missing something. And so my encouragement, maybe if you feel that way, don't be afraid to adjust. Don't be afraid to do something different. If there's any year to do something different, it's this year. And let us in all of the work that we do in this Advent and Christmas season, seek to bring that joy, peace, love, and hope into the world, and just embody that and what that looks like for each of our congregations and our communities this season.
And I think that that's a really kind of a good place to land, is in that space, to open ourselves up to the opportunity of what could be. And the great thing about this season, we don't have to force it.
Right. Because that's what Advent is, right? Just opening ourselves to the opportunity of what could be.
Yeah. I mean, how often do we try to force it, and we try to force something and it doesn't happen? But what if we really let go and, not worry about it? The great thing about the story is it tells itself.
It tells itself. That's exactly right.
But we need to continue to tell the story. And I'm a real big fan of making sure that, like, not saying, well, what the Christmas story is, because most people don't. Like, we need to lean into that reality a little bit more, that that's not necessarily the case. And so we want to encourage you to go to our website at beardedtheologians.com. We've got some great content. And there's a couple of sections where we talk about Advent in years past. We've been doing this long enough now that we actually have some past content that might be relevant for you, and would encourage you to look at some of that stuff. And there's always some good stuff there. If you need a Christmas gift for a white elephant Christmas gift, you can buy some Bearded Theologians gear to use as a white elephant Christmas gift. And that'd be a good way to enhance your season. And we want to encourage you to take time for yourself and your families, and just let the story speak for itself. And so for the Bearded Theologians, I'm Matt Franks.
I'm Zach Bechtold. Thanks for checking us out.
First, guys, I want you to subscribe and like this video, and push that thumbs up.
Thank you for listening to the Bearded Theologians podcast. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share on all social media outlets. You can check out old episodes and more information at beardedtheologians.com. Thanks for checking us out.